Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Well, hello and welcome to the 2020 Thought Bubble Audio Holiday Special. Jingle bells and all that jazz. I'm Frank from Beer with Geeks and Supergirl TV Talk. And joining me here are a cross-section of all of our Thought Bubble Audio hosts. I'm so happy to have everybody here. And I'm going to go in, I guess, alphabetical-ish order with Kelsey. Hi.
Really bold of you to just dive in alphabetically.
I know.
The next one in the alphabet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
Well, hi, I'm Kelsey. I am Kirstie's counterpart from Hate Watch with Us.
And Kirstie's here.
That makes me next then. I'm here. I'm Kirstie, and I'm also from Hate Watch with Us.
Yay. And Marissa's here.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm here from the Loud Women podcast.
Whoop, whoop. Palmer, you're up.
My name is Palmer, and I'm here from Academy Rewind and Batwoman TV Talk.
And Tim, my good buddy.
I am Tim, my good buddy, and I am here from Beer with Geeks, Supergirl TV Talk, Academy Rewind, and Read Up.
You are a consummate professional. You know, you just like, yep, my name is Tim, my good buddy, and that's what I'm here to say. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Merry Switchmas, everybody. We are here this year. We had such a good time last year, hate watching, doing our now annual tradition of a holiday hate watch, inspired by our friends at Hate Watch with Us. Last year it was Night Before Christmas with Vanessa Hudgens on Netflix. And this year's, we were victimized by the Princess Switch switched again.
With Vanessa Hudgens.
With Vanessa Hudgens times 3.
Starring 3 Vanessa Hudgens.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, Vanessa
She's done
Hudgens.
us wrong twice in real life, 3 times in the movie.
Yes. Oh, man. So a quick synopsis to kick us off. So Duchess Margaret unexpectedly inherits the throne to Montanaro, you know, that famous very real country. And but then she has some trouble with her ex Kevin. But don't worry, because she has an exact double who she's not related to, Stacy, and Stacy's all about getting Margaret and Kevin back together. But there's bad news because Margaret's crazy twin cousin, because that's apparently a thing, Fiona, has other plans for her this Christmas. And let me tell you, folks, hijinks truly do ensue.
Would we call them hijinks?
Yes, we would.
A single hijink.
A hijink ensues. A singular hijink. Does anybody have any, like, does anybody want me to open the floor for, like, opening statements? Does anybody have any, like, things they want to get off their chest before we really dive in here? Are there any, like...
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I
Tim, I heard you first.
Reverse alphabetical order. Let's do this. I enjoyed this movie way more than I should have. I need to say that right now. I weirdly, unironically, fully enjoyed myself. And the only part that I really didn't understand is they kept telling us what palace we were at in the subtitles, even though they look completely different, and I didn't need that context.
And that most of it takes place in one palace after like the first 15 minutes.
That is correct.
Yeah.
One thing we should go over is who here has seen both of them.
I have
Kelsey and I
not.
both have.
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah, I have not seen the first one. Marissa, you haven't either,
I
right?
have not. No, this was my first introduction.
You didn't like sneak out in the middle of the night while Frank was asleep to watch it?
Yeah, this is what I do with my free time. I like sneak out and watch Vanessa Hudgens movies. It's my dirty little secret.
Okay,
Not
you say
anymore.
that, but I have now seen both of these films at least 4 times each.
Whoa!
And a fun anecdote that I have from this watching experience, I'm trying to be prepared, okay? It's all about the research. So the fun anecdote that I have is at the end of the first one, Netflix autoplays A Princess Switch, Switched Again. Fine. At the end of Princess Switch, Switched Again, it autoplays The Princess Switch.
Yes!
At the end of which it autoplays Princess Switch, Switched Again.
Is that how you ended up watching them all 4 times?
Sleep is what you said.
Watching
Right?
the Princess Switch the 3rd time. That's how the 3rd one happened.
Nice.
I was trying to do a double header anyway.
It became a quadruple header.
So all of this is to say that not only is there a wormhole somewhere in Montanaro that allows for 10 to 12 Vanessa Hudgens at any given time, there is a wormhole within Netflix. And they only want you to watch The Princess Switch and Princess Switch Switched Again.
It is the Princess Switch, like industrial complex. I feel like that's
Yes.
wow.
So I have a question. Where are these two totally real countries located? Do they ever actually like nail them down?
Right next
Or
to
just
Georgia.
like somewhere over there?
Vaguely Europe.
They show an animated map in the beginning, and it's just like a large blob that's supposed to represent Europe. So no, they don't.
Pangea.
So it's Russia.
This movie is for Americans.
Right next to Genovia.
Yes,
Anne
right next to
Hathaway is just a phone
yes.
call away.
That's right. Yes.
Clearly an American audience who has no idea how geography works. And so they don't really care. They're like just somewhere over on the other side.
It's just, just
Names,
go east.
Because those were like completely like American names for all of them.
True. Yeah, I don't know a lot of I don't know if there's a lot of like Prince Kevins. So first time watching it for most of us. And Marissa, you asked while we were watching this, did Vanessa Hudgens get paid triple for this movie?
She played 3 parts. She was the 3 leads. Like I however you feel about Vanessa Hudgens personally, like she earned that money, right?
Well, I'm not sure if I hope not or I hope so. Honestly, after
she got paid triple her normal rate, but still not as much as Prince Edward.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sick burn.
So
I'm about to come into the Slack hot with a map, y'all.
Oh.
You can keep going while I do this.
Boy! All right, I'll throw that in the show notes, so folks can follow along with us. Thank you for providing that. So Belgravia is it Belgravia's having their baking competition or is it?
Yes, Belgravia
Frank,
has
it's
the
very
big
famous.
Okay.
Obviously,
Yes.
why don't you know that?
International
Belgravia is for baking.
international. Yes.
The Stanley alliteration.
Okay. Yes. Belgravia baking is the baking capital of the world, as we know, and so then we find. So what can someone help me understand why? No, probably not. Why Montanaro is having their coronation on Christmas Day? Like, I feel like there's just a lot going on here.
How inconvenient is that for everyone? I was so mad for like all the patrons. Like, you ruined all of their Christmas days.
Mm-hmm.
They have to dress up and go to your coronation, but they really just wanted Christmas with their family, eating a lot of food that they had to prepare themselves. But instead, they have to go to a really fancy party, and I was annoyed. For everybody.
Well,
the
it
first
does
rule
count.
of the Christmas industrial complex is that calendar events can only take place on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Yeah,
That's true. There needs to be a countdown to Christmas Day so that we know like this thing is happening on this day. It needs to be the climax of the movie has to be on Christmas. You're absolutely right.
It's a
Breakup, weddings, coronations, births, deaths, parties, What else are important things people do?
Nights time traveling.
Baking contests.
Baking
Baking
contests.
Baking contests.
Probably funerals.
Yep.
Yep.
I was just
All
sitting
of those
here.
things can only occur on Christmas.
It's true. I was just sitting here before we started recording thinking, wait a second. Did anything in that in that movie actually make it a Christmas movie? Like, did anything happen? And then I realized, obviously, the coronation happened on Christmas.
Right.
Therefore, Christmas movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is a Christmas. Nakatomi Plaza on Christmas. You know, that's same thing.
There was montage of Christmas decorating.
Yes. Which I noted we were there. So I would say by the time we got to the Christmas decorating montage, that is when the movie is like in full swing. That was the first moment I think we could say that the movie is in full swing. We're done with the exposition. We're done with sort of what's happened in the 2 years between these movies. That is 12 minutes into the movie. We are in full swing. Like, they wasted no time. They were like, yeah, you suckers saw the first one. Here's like 30 seconds at the beginning of like an explainer. Here's a little like cartoon of like, there was two of me. And then there was, we switched. And it was basically the Parent Trap, but make it Christmas, and also Princess Diaries, and then like sprinkle a dash of The Crown on top of it. And that's everything you needed to know. 12 minutes. All right, let's go. Exposition out of the way. Let's hop to it. Like the fact that it's a sequel.
And I found that very helpful.
Yeah, I found it a very helpful explainer because I wasn't about to watch the first one. So I found that like the fact that it's a sequel helped them tremendously to just sort of like push through like 11 minutes of exposition and then be like, boom. All right, let's go. Let's hang some tinsel on this bitch.
You know, the one question I have that remained unanswered, only one, I guess, is, isn't it a conflict of interest for Stacy to be earning a profit from her bake shop in a foreign country while also being a princess?
Ooh.
There's definitely some Swiss bank account situation happening there.
Yeah.
She's the silent partner, so no one actually knows. She's the dark money.
I was concerned about that, but I'm more concerned about why there isn't some kind of full-fledged investigation happening within the government of Montenegro about the vast national security implications of the fact that multiple people look enough like they're soon to be queen. In and out willy-nilly. Like, that seems like an issue for kidnappings and state secrets and whatever the fuck else means now.
Yeah, why weren't two of them taken to black site prisons?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, why are they just able to walk free? And why is there no research into like, okay, are these actually triplets? Like, what is happening here? How are these people literally identical? Like, okay, you two are cousins, but like, what?
I think there was some kind of investigation, but obviously all the offices are closed for Christmas. So
Of course, yes.
The other thing that concerns me is that we know that The Night Before Christmas exists in the same universe as this film and Christmas Prince.
Yes, Christmas Prince shows up. They make a surprise cameo.
And so that means that the Vanessa from Night Before Christmas, who lives in Ohio, I think, is part of this huge clone conspiracy and would somehow have a genetic ancestor with Stacy and Margaret, or the other option is that there's just that many like plain featured brunettes that apparently all of society has developed face blindness.
Well,
now there's an angle.
Night before Christmas, the way it tied in was they were watched Princess Switched on TV.
Right.
So there's a Vanessa Hudgens in the universe, but these are just movies in that universe. But really, my biggest concern lies with the child Olivia, because we have a 5-minute montage of them decorating this entire palace for Christmas, her helping, and then at the end, she seems utterly surprised where all of the decorations came from when they're looking at it at the end.
Yeah. Very valid.
Like
what's that about?
She's got some problems with memory. That
It's a roller coaster. First, she thought she was getting a stepmom who was going to be a queen, and then she wasn't again. You know, it's tough out there.
And then she just impulsively gets on a plane.
She's the only one who ever figured out the switch in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
she in the first movie, she's the one who figures it out because Stacy calls Margaret and it comes up on Margaret's phone as Stacy, and Olivia's like, "Oh, how is Stacy calling Stacy?"
Right.
And so she busts them. And so this like small child figured out the switch, but none of the rest of the governments of Europe figured it out.
And like that continues into the movie where like after it should be pretty clear what's going on, that like, oh, wait a second. We thought this was Margaret, but it's actually Stacy, but it's actually Fiona, but it's actually Stacy being Fiona being Margaret. People are like, how can this be? What explanation could there be to how this person looks like Margaret, but is actually Stacy? What's happening? I don't understand. This is confusing. And it's like, it's really not that confusing given what happened 2 years ago. You remember this, right? I didn't even see the movie and I remember it.
You'd think they'd be on high alert.
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
They told us at the beginning.
Yeah, we could have saved a lot of time if somebody was just like, wait, are they doing the thing again?
There should be some kind of like series of screenings every time Margaret enters a room.
Yes, exactly.
To be like, are you Margaret?
Tell me something only Margaret would know.
Yes.
Which she would then tell Stacy, and then that test.
Oh no! Well, that's next year's movie, I guess.
2 years. They're filming it.
You're right.
Year.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. In a bubble. So they're decorating the palace and what? Like they're spilling flour all over themselves and then Martin.
You cannot have two people in a kitchen at the same time without a flour fight.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So Martin Charteris walks in on them having a food fight, and he's all like, I'm also in on this, and I want to marry her too.
Here's the one thing about this sort of scene where they showed up at the palace for the ex-boyfriend. If your ex-boyfriend just sort of flew across the world with his child to visit, right? With no, just I'm just here. I feel like we would make a bigger deal out of that. Like, oh, you just showed up. You just got in a plane and came over. But they're like, no, this is normal. We're going to go. We're going to decorate.
They were invited.
Yeah, they were invited, but like he said he wasn't coming, and then he showed up, and it just seemed like
it was an ex, you know?
They never sent the RSVPs, so Margaret didn't know they weren't coming.
Oh, valid.
Right, like she was surprised. And she was just like, okay, I'm rolling with this very quickly.
Yeah. Well, she's very spontaneous. That is firmly talked about.
That's established.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give her credit for that. She's very spontaneous. She's a spontaneous royal.
Also, all right. There's two things I can't kind of get over.
Right.
One, I was told that there was never a discussion about how her best friend is in love with someone that looks exactly like her and how that is weird.
Yes.
And two, she's spending a lot of effort getting her doppelganger and her best friend to stay together. This should also worry her husband.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Feels like an Angelica
they
Schuyler
have a
situation.
predilection for switching. Yeah,
Feels
they
like
have
him
a
to
predilection for switching. So,
and you're right. She was really harping hard, like Kevin's here and Kevin's great, and Kevin would love to hang out with you, and you and Kevin should go on a little date, and we should switch so you can hang out with Kevin because Kevin is the best. And we don't need to tell my husband; it's fine.
He's so great that I didn't marry him, but you should. So we can switch, and then I can technically have married him.
Yes.
Angelica Schuyler, I'm telling you.
Totally.
Got to keep him around somehow.
Mm-hmm. At least I keep his eyes in my life. I love how she's like, oh my God, do you think Kevin likes me? Does Kevin like me? He's like, well, yes. You're a queen, and he flew across the world with his daughter for your coronation on Christmas Day. So yeah, I think maybe Kevin likes you a little. Also, you used to date.
You think he thinks I'm cute? Like, yes.
I don't understand why her sudden coronation meant that they had to break up. That part was like never really made clear.
Because he didn't want to move, probably. He's got that illicit bakery that uses child labor.
Well, but he makes it sound like she broke up with him. But then you're right. He does complain at one point that he thought they were just going to like live the simple life together. So was it a mutual breakup? Did she dump him? Like, what? It feels like a big game, but it's not clear, like, why.
And in something that is
why
a romantic comedy, you would expect to get something of an explanation of that, right? Like,
at least like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that the crux of the movie.
All right, everybody, I solved it, I think.
No.
So I've been doing some hardcore archaeology while you guys have been talking.
Ooh.
And some map looking. And so the map itself of the of Europe is quite old, but there seems to be this thing, if you look, there's a Gothi in there, which is Icelandic. And so that means that if Belgravia is kind of near any kind of Finnish country in any particular way, because Gothi was medieval Iceland, then we're probably talking it's supposed to be somewhere within the Czech Republic.
Wow.
Snaps for Tim. Well done.
Wow. Nice archaeology.
Thank you,
work.
Professor Tim.
Yes, Professor.
Thank
You're
you.
talking about Belgravia, right?
Yes.
What about Montenegro?
Montenegro is not on this map.
It is not. Why is it not on this map?
Because this map is from A Christmas Prince. And so this map was used in the scene where they were talking about the relationship between Aldovia and Penglia, which was in I guess Montenegro did exist at that time because Belgravia existed. Yeah. I don't think in the movie they ever gave any sense of geographic relation between Belgravia and Montenegro, but I feel like it's implied they're far apart.
Here's one thing we know. Princess Stacy went to Chicago to go pick up the ex-boyfriend and the little girl.
Yes.
And then she was meeting her husband, who was flying from Belgravia in London to then go to Montenegro. So they both had to go to London before Montenegro, which would lead me to believe that
Scandinavia?
It's probably north of London somewhere. It's the island from that musical Come From Away.
Yes.
Which is just off of what? Iceland, I think?
Canada. That island is in Canada.
Well, it's off the coast of Canada.
We saw that show together. It's in Canada.
They didn't pull out a map, Tim.
It's Canada. It's also a true story.
It is.
Newfoundland?
No,
Was it Newfoundland?
Yes, it's Newfoundland.
Welcome to the Rock.
Yeah. By the way, everyone watch it.
It is a great show.
Great show. Yes.
So that's where my belief Montenegro is.
All right.
I just want to real quick go back to Kevin before we move on.
Yeah.
I have one lingering thought from the first movie that never gets resolved that maybe plays into some of the conflict in the second movie, but it is alarming, which is that in the end of the first movie, when the switch is all coming to light, Margaret tells Edward on her way to go to the baking competition to do something. I don't know. So they all roll up to the baking competition for the big reveal, and Edward knows. And then they have the big reveal where Margaret shows up in public and takes off her sunglasses, and everyone's like, oh my God, there's two. What? And then they all start professing their love to each other, all over the place, just scattershot. And Kevin is now the only one of the three who doesn't know that this has been happening. So Edward's cool with it. He's like, okay, I've had time in the car ride over to absorb this. It's fine. But Kevin gets blindsided by it. And that's the part of the fact that the whole thing with Kevin falling in love with his best friend that bugs me the most is that then Kevin never actually seems to process that fact.
In the first one, Kevin thought he was falling in love with his best friend.
Yes.
I'm watching this movie.
Because Margaret was Stacy, and so Margaret Stacy was hanging out with Kevin, and so Kevin was really falling in love with the spontaneity, which was all Margaret, but he thought it was Stacy. So he thought something about Belgravia was bringing out this new side of Stacy, and that they were really coming closer together.
It's a conversation that never happens. Like
This is the conversation that never happens, and that's what alarms me.
This so this feeds
Edward,
into
the whole time. The whole time, Edward never knew Margaret, so he thought he was getting to know Margaret, and he was really getting to know Stacy. But he didn't have a pre-existing relationship with Margaret. Kevin did.
I definitely think it's super weird now how involved Stacy is in this romance. There's some weird unrequited shit happening here. I'm concerned.
She's pushing it, man. She is like really like, but really Kevin.
I think if they had 2 glasses of wine, maybe 3, things would get weird and stuff would come out. Like there's some stuff right beneath the surface here.
The third movie, we'll see her trying to hook up Fiona with her other male best friend that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
I do think that is the funniest part of Fiona continuously cracking wise about them switching to have sex with everybody.
Yeah.
Which she jokes about like 7 times.
So
because I think she knows.
Is the third one going to be called like the Princess Switch Key Party? Like what's going to happen in the next one?
Yes.
So my pitch for the third one is Princess switched at birth.
Oh.
Wow.
That's just every other movie like this. That doesn't make it interesting.
But it doesn't actually, the title doesn't take into account the other 2. This is a 4th Vanessa Hudgens.
See, I think it's not going to be revealing. I don't think it's going to be a prologue. I think Stacy and Margaret are going to get pregnant at the same time.
Oh,
no. And their babies are going to be the ones that get switched. And that's somehow where you get the Fionas and the 4th Vanessas. And you're going to need 2 more Vanessas to play the now adult switched at birth children.
Does that mean
2 Princess Vanessas?
Will we get more bad Vanessa accents in that case? Because we got 3, and that was a lot. That was a lot of different Vanessa voices, and I don't know how many more I can handle.
I think she's pushing her accent.
So Vanessa's Margaret is basically Vanessa doing an impression of Gillian Anderson doing an impression of Margaret Thatcher.
I can't argue with that. That is actually spot on.
Do you think her accent reached its final form in Fiona?
I screamed when Fiona came on. I said, "This sounds like what I sounded like as a child doing an impression of a grown-up." I just thought they kind of talked like this. And that seemed to be what she was doing. Was like, okay, I'm going to act like a sexy, vaguely British grown-up.
Watch out, because I'm blonde now.
Yeah, and I think you're stretching it with all of those words, though.
You in it. Yeah, it really was. And her I weirdly respect Vanessa Hudgens because when she's playing Stacy switched with Margaret, so Stacy as Margaret, her Margaret accent is like even more Americanized because it's Stacy imitating a British person, or I'm sorry, a Montenegrin. So it's like watered down, and it's even worse than normal English accent from Vanessa, which like is an acting choice, and I weirdly respect it.
I feel like you're giving her too much credit on that one.
No one can figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm totally giving her too much credit.
Like, I don't think that happened on purpose. I think she just kind of started getting a little lazy with it.
And she just got tired. It just, yeah.
This is hard.
Sometimes she just forgot who she was playing.
She just got confused. The dial-up coach was not happy. I also noticed that in Montanaro, they're calling her Lady Margaret up until her coronation. But like in The Crown, they were calling Queen Elizabeth Your Majesty, like as soon as her...
They're two different countries, Frank.
I understand that, but it was very clearly supposed to be like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is England.
I think it's important
but
that
they
everyone
had to be different enough that you wouldn't get that immediately.
Sure.
I think it's important you guys all know that Frank just watched The Crown. So Frank is now a scholar in the monarchy.
Yes, much like Kirstie, I am very, very invested in the royals for 1 week of the year, and then I don't care.
And we watched all 4 seasons in 2 weeks. So we're extremely invested and know everything there is to know. So feel free to point any questions you have in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
So glad you finally got on the Crown train.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, I just needed to call that out, that they were calling her Lady Margaret because she's not coronated yet. But eventually, I guess, then she becomes Her Majesty. So the grand plan here is to kidnap my cousin, the princess, impersonate her, get crowned queen, steal her money, and then live off of it from an offshore account for the rest of my life without consequences because I'll pick a country where I can't get extradited.
Yes.
Which might be any country for all we know.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good plan, except for the fact that she apparently has a small tattoo on her pinky that discount Franco brother can spot from like a mile away.
Discount Franco brother.
We literally had to Google it. I was like, I'm pretty sure that guy's not a Franco. He's definitely not a Franco.
He's not a Franco,
There's
right?
not a third Franco, right? Googled.
I'm
He's not.
glad
there
I'm not
are
the only one
infinite
who had to look.
There are several Vanessas. There are multiple Property Brothers. There are multiple Olsen twins. So honestly, anything can still happen.
My God. Too many Francos.
In the Netflix universe, there's only like 5 people, and everyone else looks like them.
Yes. There are 5.
Very small gene pool in Netflix.
Yeah, there's a lot of inbreeding in the Netflix version of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Netflix version, not the real one.
Just the Netflix version.
The royal families have clean bloodlines.
Clean.
No problems whatsoever.
Clean, I tell you. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I really appreciate that the driver guy, that his name is Frank, and that they said his name a lot. I just, that meant representation matters. That meant a lot to me. So
the driver guy was from the first movie, I would assume, because he was like this little wink wink nod nod angel character. So, but
he shows up like every 4 scenes in the first movie. Like he's like clearly forcing everything to happen the whole way through.
Oh.
And he only shows up at the very end of the second movie to drive Kevin the long way to the airport for reasons that are unclear.
Kirstie,
still not
because he would have
Santa,
already
but not
gotten on the plane.
Oh.
Frank is the like assistant guy.
Oh, the butler guy. He's also from the first movie. And I don't understand some of the character choices they made with him in the second movie.
He's like the Rowan
thinks
Atkinson.
he's a ninja.
Yeah. He's just in the shadows
the
all
creepy
the time.
Santa character is way more interesting.
I don't understand why none of these royals have any security guards. They just have these butler people.
Yeah.
Who go around town.
Because no one can find their country. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
I mean, I thought of that when Edward was just like walking amongst the people at the baking contest
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. Like he just shows up and then stands in the crowd, and I'm like, this is the king of your country. Just
Wild.
standing in the crowd.
I mean, I get wanting to be one of the people, but really.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Like,
you're all
this is-
discounting the fact that this is clearly a fantasy land, and
Like
that
even the Pope drives in a car with a bubble on it.
I know, right?
he doesn't do that anymore.
Just Tim.
That's because
driving
nobody
a Ford
goes anywhere.
Focus.
That's different.
I wish I could have a car with a bubble on it.
Yeah.
Just always.
Yeah.
It might get hot.
Speaking of cars, Fiona driving a convertible in the middle of winter.
Yep.
While it's snowing, mind you.
Like, I have questions about her snow tires. I have questions about the upholstery. I have questions about the fact that she's not even wearing a hat. I have questions about why she thought that would be at all comfortable when her hair is so long.
I think that we are trying to rationalize the actions of a crazy lady.
Well,
because we already know she's not with it. Like her whole plan is to be like, I want to be queen by switching the bodies and blah blah blah. Like
in this world, that's a very feasible plan, though.
Apparently.
Also, which one of her 2 minions owned the VW bus?
Oh, yeah.
I'll have this in storage just in case. It doesn't matter. We might need it one day.
I think I want a spin-off series of their origin story, actually.
Yes.
I kind of do, but I also want to switch out Mindy for Billy Lord.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was discount Billy Lord, wasn't she?
She was, yes.
Huh.
This movie is full of discount people. Discount Franco Brother, discount Billy Lord, discount Finn
Hudgens
from Glee.
Yeah,
Maybe in a Princess Switch 3 Switched at Birth, those two will be like the Home Alone villains who do the birth switching.
That is what they failed at that role in this movie. That was their role, and
You're
someone
right.
did not write it correctly.
They had one job, kidnapping.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Don't you hate it when you're there to kidnap one person, you accidentally kidnap a different person by accident? That's the worst. I hate it.
It is
Pretending to be the other person.
Classic Christmas hijinks.
Hijink.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love how apparently in Montanaro, the crown jewels are just haphazardly strewn about the queen's bedroom. Just sort of like there's a crown over here, and there's a necklace over there, and there's like a globe and scepter over there. It's just all just hanging out in her room. There's no like, well, we're going to use these tomorrow for the coronation, so we're just going to keep them here on the.
No, there's no sign of preparation for the coronation whatsoever.
They were too busy decorating the main hall for Christmas.
The one insight we get into her preparation for coronation is the stump speech that she gives like 3 times in the last 15 minutes of the film, where she's like, in the last 6 months, I've learned about the people of this country, and I love its people, and I want to be the queen because I love this country.
Did she not know the country
No.
the whole her life before this?
No, it's like her cousin, uncle, dad had to die and abdicate the throne both at the same time somehow.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she was like, oh, I guess I live in Montanaro now.
This is one stuttering away from the king's speech.
Yes. Exactly.
A true story.
A true story. But
Wait,
at least there would have been a
Princess Switch 2 is a true story?
Yes.
It's so many Vanessa Hudgens running around.
Oh man. And then like Fiona's like, so now she's about to be fake queen, and she's all like, you know what? I've decided that we're gonna have the coronation tonight, and no one's gonna be suspicious because that's not a problem. So
at least it wouldn't have been on Christmas Day.
I guess, but like, you know,
why aren't all those priests saying mass? Don't they have Christmas Eve mass?
Midnight mass? You know,
like they're just hanging
They were-
around.
Isn't
They
the
were in
fake
between masses.
isn't the fake Archbishop of Canterbury busy? Like, doesn't he have something to do?
You would think.
No. They're in between the 6 o'clock and the midnight mass.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
I mean, I guess if you know 6 months in advance that the coronation is going to happen on Christmas Day, you could probably work that into your mass, couldn't you?
I guess you'd work that
Exactly.
around. Yeah,
It
work around
counts as
that.
your Christmas mass.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of biblical lesson in there somehow.
And so was Jesus born, just this new age for this country whose name I've forgotten. It's all cyclical and symbolic, you see. She is like a newborn babe because she has a little poofy face. And we have a baby that's newly born. Could you please step into the manger now and wrap yourself in swaddling clothes to signify that you are a new monarch, a newborn monarch?
Of course, the symbolism was there the whole time.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
do
scene
like-
at the beginning of this where she says that she doesn't feel comfortable in the palace because the country is still mourning their king. And Edward goes, but they're celebrating their new queen. And it's like, shut up. Countries don't work that way.
I hate Prince Edward so much.
Okay, yeah. So he presumably he was like the romantic leading man of the first movie?
So in the first movie, Margaret was supposed to marry Prince Edward. So she had arrived in Belgravia for like the wedding preparations. It was very like Princess Diana. And then Stacy rolls up in Belgravia and Margaret sees her and is like, whoa, dang, she looks like me. So she kidnaps her and is like, hey, listen, I've been a princess my whole life, and I want to know what it's like to be a normal girl. So you're going to switch places with me for like 32 hours, and I'm just going to go run around the town and hang out with normies and see what happens. And then I'm going to come back and marry the prince.
So it's the prince and the pauper with a bake off.
Right. Okay. I know that one from Wishbone.
Yes, exactly.
Prince Edward's only plot in this entire movie is him complaining that his wife is not engaged in their marriage, and at the same time he's so aloof that he can't tell the difference between his wife and her relative? Question mark.
Can we also pour one out for the fact that Prince Edward worked so hard for the opening 10 minutes of this film to get laid and just never happened for him?
It's another classic Netflix sexless marriage at Christmas.
Oh, womp womp.
They don't have time
for sex. It's Christmas.
They don't have time for sex because they had literally like 15 Christmas trees in their bedroom. And so all I could think is every night at bedtime, that's going to take them 20 minutes to unplug all of their Christmas lights. So they just don't have time for intercourse.
They're royalty. They have it on an automatic timer. Like, come on.
Clapper.
The clapper.
Yeah.
Well, that open. No, this is not an explicit
That's
podcast.
The peak technology. Did she win the Bake Off in the first movie?
I'm sorry. I just had a whole journey in my brain. I'm sorry, what was the question?
We broke Kirstie.
I think
Did she
did win the Bake Off, but now I can't recall.
It seems like the person that the prince is falling in love with winning the Bake Off would raise some questions about the legitimacy of the.
Agreed.
So both he and Margaret, oh my God, were at the baking competition. And I can't remember if Margaret was always supposed to be there. I think she was. I think that was supposed to be like one of her big public moments leading up to the wedding. And she does ultimately, I think, present the prize to Stacy after it's announced that Stacy won. But the prince wasn't like a judge. He was just like an MC.
But I mean, come on. The prince was like, look, I'm not judging this, but she won.
Yeah, but until he got there, he thought she was Margaret.
Yeah, I mean, the prince didn't know that Stacy existed until he got in the limousine to go to the baking competition. And Margaret was like, okay, listen.
Gotcha.
What's the deal?
All right.
I'm relieved to hear that because my fear was that he was the romantic lead in the first movie, and I was like, this guy kind of sucks. That seems like a terrible first movie. I can't believe they had a sequel.
He's like a cardboard cutout of a personality.
Of human from Glee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talk a lot in the second movie about how Margaret is spontaneous, but in the first movie, it's that Stacy is like rigid and follows a schedule and cares about order, and Margaret is spontaneous. And so that's why Stacy's a better match for Edward, and Margaret's a better match for Kevin.
Sounds like she'd be a better queen too.
Wow.
Order.
They completely forgot that in this movie.
Yes.
By the time we get to like sort of near the end where like Fiona's breaking up with Kevin, but she's pretending to be Margaret, breaking up with Kevin, breaking his heart, and he's all like, fine, then it's really over. Like at this, we're so many levels deep of it's Fiona pretending to be Margaret, breaking up with Kevin so she can go do whatever she wants. Like we're so many lookalike levels in that I'm like, I felt like I was watching that carnival trick where there's 3 cups and you have to guess which one has the marble under it.
I also felt when Kevin left that was like the most low stakes ending act of a movie. Was they were like, we gotta chase him down, we gotta stop him before he gets to the airport. I was like, worst case scenario, he gets on that plane, he goes home, he gets a phone call, hey, that wasn't me, honey, come back. Turns around, he's got another 8-hour flight. Inconvenient, yes. End of the world, no.
Yeah.
Well, there are no flights on Christmas Day, obviously.
So they're like, okay, sorry, man, we'll have to reconnect in the new year. I'll see you in a bit.
If only the queen had a plane or something.
Yeah, that was my thought
his
too.
best friend is a princess, and his booty call is a queen. Like somebody can charter a jet,
yeah, right? That's what I'm
Everyone's too busy at the coronation; they can't do anything else.
I like how the coronation change of date was almost derailed by one priest going, "But we need somebody from government here."
Oh, I've already called the prime minister.
Yeah,
the prime
casually
minister
called the
wasn't
prime
doing anything on Christmas Eve.
Seriously,
Nobody does anything on Christmas Eve, Tim. We're in a pandemic.
They clearly weren't, or they're all very sick now.
Also, why? Like, what was she told to get her to the church?
Yeah, right.
Because
Like, what do you say to the prime minister to get her there early?
The government. Yeah.
Well, it seems that the whole philosophy behind everything is just like, well, the queen says we're doing it, so I guess we have to do it. End of story.
Yes.
So I think whoever, like Fiona as Margaret, just like told somebody, call the prime minister and tell them, Tony probably, because Tony was in on it, but probably just called up the prime minister and was like, for reasons, we are doing the coronation now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she never once got the right orphanage.
I know.
Nope.
St. Matthew's, St. Michael's.
Never once.
Never once.
I care about the people. What about the orphans? Yes, them too. The most, obviously.
And at one point when they're like, wait a second, we have suspicions that the queen's cousin might be committing treason, but shh, don't call the police or anything. We'll figure this out ourselves.
They had those two costume guards.
Yes.
Wasn't that enough?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, when they all busted into that house, I was like, you guys don't even have a weapon. Like, this is a kidnapping scenario. I feel like we should be a little bit more armed, like pepper spray, something.
Something.
Now, look at who was doing the kidnapping, though.
Exactly.
Otisburg.
Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that they made Meghan Markle go through kidnapping training?
Wow.
What then?
Please
And
say
after
more.
This movie, they made her go through twin training.
Yeah, like lookalike training.
If you ever come across your lookalike, this is what you should do.
Just watch this movie, take notes, and you'll be fine.
In an evil cousin princess switch scenario.
You
Not
gotta
to
be
be
prepared
confused
for
with a friendly princess switch scenario.
Yes.
There are consensual princess switches, and then
You have
That's
to be
the
prepared
one
for
thing
every
missing
possible...
from The Crown.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, I love how I love how like on The Crown, I mean, I guess and in real life, like there was that guy who broke into Buckingham Palace and like he did it twice, right? Like he came in and found where the Queen's room was and then went back a second time and did it. And I feel like Fiona coming to the palace and leaving the wrapped toilet paper roll as a gift and then coming back later, like that's her casing the joint the first time and then coming back the second time, just like that guy was like, I'm just gonna hop back on a bus and go back there and do it again.
Genius.
Yeah,
we got to give more credit to Fiona because you know what, we laugh, but she actually pulled it off.
It worked, right? It worked.
You know, it did work because everyone is dumb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of giving credit to Fiona, the real trick that I don't think was given enough credit in this film is that they throw Tony in the dungeons for his part in all of it. But she gives this bleeding heart speech like, all my life, I've only wanted to be like you, Margaret. And I don't have a family, so of course I had to pretend to be the queen. And I love you because I look like you. And then she gets like come to the coronation wearing an ankle bracelet instead of going to actual prison.
I will say, part of me, when they pan over to Fiona during the coronation and she's there cheering, thought for a second, why isn't police with her?
Yes.
And then it went out wider, and I'm like, oh, thank God. They at least...
Why did she get to come to the coronation at all? I feel like if you kidnap...
Laws don't apply to rich people.
3 princesses, you don't get just an ankle bracelet.
Laws don't apply to Vanessa Hudgens.
Doings. We all know this.
Look, she did bad things, but you know what? Her feelings were hurt, so it's fine.
I had an inferiority complex, so you can understand.
You don't get it. I was bullied. It makes everything
lack
fine.
Of emotional maturity.
Yeah.
I'm hoping in the third movie she gets out of prison by switching with the person who runs the prison, who is also played by Vanessa Hudgens.
Sure. Yeah. The warden. The warden is also Vanessa Hudgens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we cross over with the Orange is the New Black universe, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Princess Switch Shawshank.
Yes. There we go. Yeah, and Antonio.
Stanford Princess Experiment.
Oh God, Stanford Princess Experiment. Oh, that's horrible. Oh man, that gets real dark real fast.
Shawswanky? Shawswitched?
Shawswitched. Shawswitched, the Princess Redemption.
I like how Antonio is like, Antonio figures it out and he's like, oh, so you're Fiona. Look, since you're committing federal crimes, let's commit federal crimes together or else.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised.
You can just see the tension release from his body because okay, I don't actually have to trick this chick into marrying me anymore.
Right.
I've got another plan.
Yeah, plan B.
See, I was actually surprised he wasn't like, you get coronated and then marry me right then. So then I'm technically married to the queen and there's no divorce in this country. So
that would have been smart.
Is that a plan? There's no divorce in that country?
It should. You know what? At this point, sure.
Assuming that it's fake England. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But it's
true. Although fake England still has divorce, I give you Princess Diana.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes, and look what happened to her.
Oh God.
Yes, we know the royal family killed her. We
don't
know.
want to get divorced.
Yes.
Tune in next season to find out how. Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers. I know you guys haven't reached that far in history yet.
So sends him to the dungeon. I love how it's like, he's like, you'll never be queen. You don't know how to command. And she's like, take him to the dungeon. Maybe I can't command, but I've seen movies.
What about due process?
If I can't command, Stacy can.
Off with his head.
We don't really have
that the
dungeons
only
anymore.
form of law in a Netflix Christmas movie is throwing people in the dungeons. They do that in Eldovia too.
No juries, nothing.
Dungeon, man. We don't have dungeons. Throw them in the wine cellar, but don't leave any bottle openers.
Yeah.
It's a very European thing.
I have grave concerns about the human rights records of these countries.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to think too much into it.
No, because the other one's like, what's your excuse for your treason? I got carried away? That's fine.
That's fine. But that person who helped you...
Dungeon.
God help them.
Yeah. Get the gallows ready.
Yeah, exactly. Put them in the stocks.
Sometimes you commit treason because you just want to make sure that you actually do want to be a royal person. And sometimes you commit treason just because you feel a little unloved.
There you go.
Yep.
We all have our reasons for the treason.
The reason for the treason.
Reason for the treason of the season.
Treason's greetings.
Glad we all landed there. Same dumb joke.
Switch the reasons for the treasons. Nailed.
Yeah.
Treason's greetings. So we had as we were wrapping up the movie, we had a conversation, Marissa and I, where you turned to me and you asked me, do you think that they think they're doing a good job at what they're trying to do?
Yeah, can I elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, please.
I feel like this movie felt like, oh, we're just a really fun, lighthearted, joyful, nostalgic kind of Christmas movie. Do they think they were doing well at that? Because there is that exists.
That's a genre.
This was very bad.
I thought you meant just the royalty in the movie thing they're doing.
No, specifically
country.
How does
her
crew?
question could be taken two ways.
I want to know like the producer, like the guys working on the like tech, like everybody who's on site there. Were they like at the end of the day, like we're doing a really good job at this. This is going to be something special.
I think it depends what department you're talking about. If you're talking production design, absolutely, because this movie looks like Christmas threw up in it, but it like splayed it out in some nice Christmas patterns, so it looks great. Costumes were fun, but I think I'm pretty sure the guy who wrote it on his Thanksgiving break and turned it in like an hour before it was due. Do we need to proofread? Absolutely not. Don't worry.
There's so much
How many
under the bridge?
Yeah.
How many Vanessas are in it? 3. Good enough.
Good.
I do feel like they were a little more knowing with the like camp aspect in this one versus the first one.
Okay.
The first one, I think they thought they did a good job of like Christmas cheer.
Yeah.
And heartwarming messages, and this one was like, give the people what they want. 17 Vanessas, go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Having 3 Vanessas makes as much sense as you think it does, and roll.
Got it.
I will never stop saying Vanessa's Hudgens in my head. That is permanently in my brain now.
What I will say on that matter, as my only counterpoint, Marissa, is this film franchise slaps. And I don't know how that totally addresses your questions about quality or sense of pride on set, but I do think in some cosmic way, it speaks for itself that it slaps.
I don't disagree.
There is a special place in heaven for everyone connected to these movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that they're really meant to be anything more than they are. And so I would say that, yes, I wouldn't say maybe there's a sense of pride like, wow, we've just really recreated, irises by Van Gogh over here, which is amazing. It's gonna, but I do think that they were like, we made a competent movie that for an hour and a half you can forget that these places don't even really exist. And if you do want to hate watch it, then you will also enjoy it that way too. So in a weird way, it does succeed in what it's trying to do.
That's the best counterpoint I think I've heard so far, is like it's good if you like Hallmark level Christmas movies, and if you love to hate those movies, it's good at that too.
Yeah.
I'm finding that Netflix is the best at that particular genre.
It's a balance.
It feels as if Hallmark takes itself more seriously, and Netflix knows that it's kind of doing a Hallmark thing, but with a wink and a nudge.
They wink.
Yeah.
They wink at us a little bit.
Yeah.
Although
I think when Netflix made a Christmas Prince, I never know which order those words go in. I think they knew it was silly, but I don't think they quite expected the reaction that they got from the internet and the critic community. And then it just blew up into this massive hate watch with this big cult status. And I think they were like, oh, there's something there if we do bad things on purpose.
Yes.
Let's lean in.
That's kind of what that was what I was getting at, I think, initially, Kirstie, last night. That helps articulate it better. It was like they were kind of leaning into the fact that it wasn't good. Like nobody wrote that script and was like, this is really just bringing happiness in a really beautiful way. It's like
Orson Welles would be proud of what I've written here.
We know that they're like, y'all are gonna laugh at this, but you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
I always talk about whether or not a piece of content knows who it is or what it's there to do. And I feel like the reason this slaps is because it's somewhat self-aware, but totally unassuming. Like it is just there to be who it is.
Yeah. A real critical theory. I'm going to get academic for a second. Like if you're talking like real aesthetics, critical theory, like the stuff that people study in school and what philosophers say about literature and art and how we're supposed to look at it, there's a big wave of you have to know what the audience is and you can't compare it to anything else. You have to take the piece exactly for what it is and judge it on its own merits, because every piece is so different and everyone is so different who looks at the piece that you can really only look at it within itself. And so not watching the first one, I only watched the sequel. I had only this movie to base it off of, and I watched it for what it is, and I enjoyed it for what it was. It may not have been the best thing I've ever seen, but it had a rockin' album, all the good Christmas music. It looked like Christmas, and I laughed a couple of times, whether at it or with it. And so, in my mind, that's a success.
You know what else it had that I thought was really special? It had a 90s montage, a 90s getting ready montage.
Yes.
Like that when they were sort of dressing up as each other. I was like, chef's kiss, delicious. Haven't seen this in years. Love it. Perfectly done. A plus all around.
Very parent.
No notes.
No notes. Exactly. Exactly. So compared with last year's film, last year we watched Night Before Christmas. Let's go around in no particular order. I'm going to start with.
What did I just say about comparing?
No,
Frank?
you're right.
What did I
was
just
one
say?
perspective on its own merits. This is how we feel about it now.
Much like on Academy Rewind, Tim, your take is wrong.
No,
and we're going to completely dismiss it.
Those are your words, not mine. The words of Palmer are not representative of the words of Frank.
I'm sorry, I was playing solitaire while Palmer was talking. What did he say?
That's what makes you guys a great duo. But let's start with Palmer, actually. Like, so comparing it with Night Before Christmas, Palmer, which one do you like better?
Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
I think it's a much smoother movie. It has plot that makes sense mostly. This does have more Vanessas, so that is a tick in its column.
Just purely by volume, this has that in its camp.
Yeah, but other than that, I like this movie. I think is empty calories.
Kelsey, what are your thoughts?
And because A Christmas Prince wasn't empty calories.
I've never seen A Christmas Prince. I've seen Night Before Christmas.
Night Before Christmas.
And
A
Princess for Christmas.
I'm sorry, the titles are also similar.
Oh no. We won't get into Princess for Christmas right now, but that may be a side episode. My thoughts on these two is that Night Before Christmas was possibly better, but I would watch Princess Switched again.
I think I'm on board with that.
I just think these are more fun. I got more infuriated by the time travel of it all.
Okay. That is a fair point.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah, jumping off that, Kelsey, I can go next. I think that this was firmly grounded in no reality, and that made it easier to just go along with the ride. Whereas
That's true.
I think with that, the Night Before Christmas, I did have a lot of moments of, hold on a second. How is that going to work? This one, it didn't even matter. You are not tethered to reality. Just like float about where you will. I will also say we would be remiss if we did not get through this podcast without mentioning that Vanessa Hudgens, hadn't been on my mind since last year when we discussed this. Then she gave a really iconic Instagram live at the beginning of the pandemic that I couldn't get out of my head through the entire. Yeah, I think it's important that Vanessa back in March gave an Instagram live where she gave the infamous quote, "It's a virus. I get it. I respect it. Like, people are going to die, but it's inevitable." And so since then, I've just felt pure chaos.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's worth watching. Just I have such chaotic feelings about Vanessa Hudgens at this point, and so I was like, you know what?
Now I dislike her.
Just give me more Vanessa Hudgens. I'm just pure chaos. Like, let's just bring it on. 2020. Don't care.
Yeah. When Fiona rolls up on the scene with her own signature villain music, that incident, Marissa, definitely flashed through my brain. And in the weeks after that, like when we were all deep into like celebrities in quarantine Instagram, there were a couple other incidents of just pure chaotic energy. Like, she is chaotic neutral in its finest form. And I think Fiona is really her channeling her inner chaos in a way that I am so here for.
Good take.
She has been preparing for this role all her life.
Yes.
Good take. Yes, I'm on board with that. I think Night Before Christmas might be better in some respects, but this is more fun to watch. I think because you're not as bogged down by like how much of this is really plausible, because clearly none of it is, so you can just go along for the ride.
Because A Night Before Christmas is plausible?
Yes.
Well, they're trying to have...
Scientifically...
That movie is trying to have its own rules or its own consistency within its own universe, right? Of how the time travel rules work, and so it's at least ostensibly trying to do that, but failing at that. This doesn't bother with any of that. It's just sort of like, yeah, they look alike for reasons, and they switch, and it's fun. Look, it's a movie. Watch it or don't. We don't care. You already paid for Netflix. Shut up and just watch it.
The only part I got really nitpicky about not accepting reality here was I was like, there is no way that there are two people who look so similar that are not related that their literal husband could not tell the difference. Like when he was sitting there looking deep into her eyes, I was like, no freaking way. No way.
Not only is he looking deep into her eyes, he's looking deep into her eyes, telling her about his marital problems.
I don't believe it. I was like,
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Men are stupid.
Can't confirm.
It's the same reason anytime I watch any piece of Superman content, I'm like, but he looks the same. Yeah. When he takes the glasses off, are you kidding me? Bullshit.
I don't know.
Get her, Frank.
Zoe Deschanel took off her glasses and got rid of her bangs, and nobody knew who she was.
That's true. We were watching Elf. We were watching Elf this week, and we were like, literally, you cannot tell that was Zoe Deschanel. Like, she looks like a different woman. It is wild.
To be fair, that is how I imagine Zoe Deschanel is from Elf.
Okay,
every other time I see her, I'm like, why doesn't she look like Elf?
Oh, interesting.
Because Elf looks like Will Ferrell.
That explains.
Good point. Yeah.
So
probably why.
Any closing thoughts? Does anybody want to have anything that they haven't had a chance to voice yet?
Yes, I haven't voiced my opinion on this yet. I thought this was better than A Night Before Christmas. Like, I thought because it was more fun, like, and it wasn't trying to play by its rules, it made it a better movie. Because The Night Before Christmas got bogged down within itself. Also, there's no way that Vanessa Hudgens... I believe that Vanessa Hudgens could be queen of a fake country more than she could be a chemistry teacher.
Oh, yes.
Wow. I'm
valid.
sorry, but there is no way that Vanessa Hudgens lives in Ohio.
Chicago, maybe.
That I can allow. She definitely is not like giving counseling advice to 7th graders.
No, there's no way.
But it was such good advice.
It in. Like, she wouldn't even be in the same room as them. No. So I think this movie was better. Like, just across the board. Not to say that it was good. It's just that it was better.
Yeah, on the continuum of
I also have not given my final opinion on this matter, and I also agree that this movie is better than A Night Before Christmas, which was fine but forgettable. But I'd like to see your Princess Switch switched again and raise you what is now the most important Christmas movie of 2020. Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
Yes.
Oh, that movie.
Is that a Christmas movie?
So the new Hate Watch With Us campaign for the end of this year is that henceforth, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga is a Christmas movie. If Die Hard gets to be a Christmas movie, what was the other one? Holiday gets to be a Christmas movie. If Harry Potter gets to be a Christmas movie, then tell that to ABC Family.
It has one scene at Christmas. The whole movie doesn't even take place at Christmas.
ABC Family usually shows it on Thanksgiving, though, I thought.
And Halloween. It's an all-year movie.
They definitely show it around Christmas because there's always that preview of little baby Harry standing in front of a tree in the Great Hall.
Yep.
This is all just to say, because I just needed an opening to do it, that it is now canon that Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga is in fact a Christmas movie.
I like it.
It has elves and Christmas lights.
It has elves
and snow
and lots of lights.
I think we need to rewatch.
Merry and bright.
And Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was
Elf himself.
Yeah, I thought it was a delightful movie. I loved it, and I will co-sign on this.
Yes.
Right on.
That's the real gift this Christmas.
That is indeed. Well, thanks everyone for getting together and doing this. This is so much fun. I love when we get to do this. I will say I think that we can all agree this is better than the very first Thought Bubble Audio holiday special we did, which was the Star Wars holiday special.
Sure was.
So this, by default, is better than that.
Netflix has the Lego Star Wars Christmas special on its home menu, and every time I see it, I think it's trying to push the original Star Wars Christmas special on me, and every time I find myself having PTSD flashbacks before I realize it's Lego Star Wars.
Yeah. You should watch the Lego one though, because it's hilarious.
It is fun. It is very fun. Yes, it pokes a lot of fun at itself.
When it's over, you're ready for it to be over. Like it's like just the right amount of time for you to be like, okay, I'm good now. I made it.
It's only but 30, 40 minutes, right?
Minutes. Yeah, something like that. But it really makes fun of everything Star Wars in the best way.
It's quite fun. So I will put a plug out there for that too, because that's great. But yes, it is traumatizing when you see it and it's like Lego holiday special and you're like, no, I already did that to myself.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
Not today, Santa.
Well, thank you all for joining for this absolute cluster of a Netflix holiday movie. In reverse alphabetical order, Tim, where can people find you on the internet if they want to hear more of you?
They can find me on Beer with Geeks and Supergirl TV Talk and Read Up and Academy Rewind. You can find all of these shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, and you can find me on Twitter at TimothyPG13.
Cool. And Palmer, what places can people find you if they want to hear more of you?
They can find me on Academy Rewind and Batwoman TV Talk. And if they want to get in touch with me, Batwoman TV Talk or at Academy Rewind on Twitter. I run both of the accounts. So those are where you can go. Just never email academyrewind@gmail.com because nobody checks it.
For years. Haven't checked.
For years now.
Yep.
You know there's a forgot password button? I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Right, but we forgot where that button is.
I know what the password is. I just don't check.
Oh.
I have 3 work emails. I'm not checking any more emails.
I like these very public boundaries you've set for yourself.
I like to imagine that you guys have a bunch of like sponsorship offers sitting in your inbox of people that want to like partner with you and give you money. You're like, I don't check that.
I mean, it's possible, but we say every episode we don't check the emails. So
you are very vocal about it. Yes, that's true. Kirstie, where can folks find you if they want to find more of you on the internet?
Did you skip Marissa?
Sure did, because I'm bad at the alphabet.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that's fine. Whatever. I'm just sitting right across from him. It's fine. No, you can find me. I host the Loud Women podcast. We recap Shrill on Hulu and talk about feministy kind of stuff. I'm also on social media at Hi, this is Marissa.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Kirstie,
over to the K's.
Now I think it's your turn.
Now into the K zone or something. You can find us both over at Hate Watch with Us, which is at Hate Watch with Us on Twitter, hatewatchwithus.com, where we have an incredible website that Kelsey overhauled this fall with really beautiful headers, and every single picture on every single episode is like a tiny little like inside joke, and it makes me infinitely happy. That's hatewatchwithus.com. Or you can send us emails. We do answer them and check them regularly at hatewatchwithus@gmail.com.
Right.
Show off.
You can also send your Academy Rewind emails to them.
Yeah, if you want to get in touch with Academy Rewind, find us at hatewatchwithus@gmail.com.
Oh,
we will be lighting up the Thought Bubble Audio Slack channel.
Amazing. Kelsey, anything to add to that other than your A+ web design skills?
Probably applies to all, but you should find us individually on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening and give us a 5-star review only.
Mm-hmm. Anything less than that, it's not worth it.
Your 5-star reviews to tell us about all of the reasons why it's a great idea to invite Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga into the Christmas movie canon.
You heard her. Wow. I think that leaves just me, and you can find all of my shows, Beer with Geeks, Supergirl TV Talk, and you can find those at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can hit us up at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio if you want to support us and kind of help all of the shows across the network with server costs and things like that. Helps us a lot, and we appreciate it. And yes, those subscribing in an app, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, subscribing rather than listening in Google Chrome or whatever, it helps us all a lot and helps our shows get discovered and helps other people find them. So if you're not, consider subscribing. It's free to subscribe, and then you'll get every episode automatically delivered to your phone, your computer, whatever your device is, if you subscribe in one of those apps. So highly recommend that, as well as Patreon. If you want to help us out, you can find all of that at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. Thank you all so much for listening. It's always a hoot to get together, all of us, and hate watch something holiday themed. So thank you to all my fellow hosts. Thank you to all of our listeners. We love putting together this little holiday gift for you at the end of each year, and we hope you enjoy it. So until next year, we will be talking to you on the internet. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Wait, what's the name of this movie again? Princess Switch. What was the second half of the title?
Switched again.
Switched again. That's it. Thank you. I was like, I have Princess Switch 3.
Here we go again.
Here we
That was
Leave it in.
No, but we can definitely talk about that if you want to.
The Switch switched for Christmas.
Merry Switchmas. Switchblade for Christmas.
Switchmas for Princess.
A night before Switch. No.
Maybe for the podcast, damn it.
Switchmas Eve for Christmas.
Switchmas
Princess
Eve.
for Palace Christmas.
The Crown. Okay. Cool.